Well, I can't believe it, but the sun has actually come out. It's supposed to be 2 days in a row. This is Monday. We're supposed to have some sun again tomorrow. So I'm off out to the vegetable garden to plant beans and transplant some of my seedlings. I just thought I'd give you a look at these two plum trees. If you were watching my videos last year, this is the plum tree that was growing in the area that was too wet, and the lady at the garden center told me that's why the plums all dropped off of it. So early this spring I dug it up and moved it, and so far it's alive. Hopefully I got enough of its roots, and as you can see it's got a lot of blossoms again. Over next to it, the blossoms are finishing on this, so I hope it managed to cross-pollinate. I can't think of the name of this. This is some sort of a Japanese plum, which may or may not ever have plums on it. It's used as a pollinator, so I got it to pollinate my other plum trees with. And at the same time I bought this one, which is a purple plum, but it doesn't have any blossoms this year. It's a fair-sized little tree, so maybe next year. Before I go out to the garden, I'll have to give you a turn around and look. That's the hen house with the chickens inside. Poor little guys. It's nice and warm in there today with the sun shining. They're still far too small to come out in the big wide world. Before I start planting anything, I'll give you a little tour of some of the things that I've already planted. In this 16 square foot bed, I put in 2 squares of combination herbs and flowers, mainly for their blossoms, to entice other pollinators over to the garden. And they're coming up quite nicely. There's cosmos, German chamomile, and borage in that square. And there's another square of it not too far away here. Next to it I planted white icicle radishes, which I've never grown before. They're more a carrot-shaped white radish. I always thought they would be extremely hot, like daikon or something, so I didn't happen to read the label, and it says they're mild, so large, white, mild radish if it works. The next row doesn't have anything in it yet. It'll have transplants later today. And this row is sugar snap peas, which I guess you can see they're coming up quite nicely. A lot of grass clippings in there with it. I mowed around the garden the other day with the blower going in the wrong direction and covered everything with grass. And this is a mixture of the tall telephone and the blue potted peas that I had left over from last year. I planted quite heavily because I assumed that the germination rate would be down, and I think I was right. I have just about what I would like to see in a square foot bed, and I planted twice that many, so at least I've got the plants as long as something doesn't clip them off on me. Next to it is a row of beets, which they are coming up, but they're so small you can't see them. And then there are some of Jihad Acadian's spinach. It's all up and starting to grow, and I have some almost full-size spinach plants that I'll be transplanting out today. And these are the onion sets that I put in my own, started from seed. It must be 2 weeks now that they've been in. They're starting to grow a little better, along with a bit of garlic that's in with them. And that's the chard plant that I found that overwintered. When I was cleaning out a bed, I also found 2 small beets. So I don't know why I've put them in there, just to see them bloom, I guess, and collect some seed. But all of this cold, wet weather didn't harm the garlic at all. It seems to love it. I don't know, I guess the tallest plants in there are probably 1.5 feet at least now, growing quite nicely. And behind it is a row of red onion sets, the little onions that I bought and put in. They've been in for 2 or 3 weeks, but this wet weather has brought them on, and they're starting to grow. And behind it is another row of sugar snap peas, the bush peas, 18 inches tall or so. They're coming up. More of my onion seedlings that I started from seed. They're all getting a good start. Next to it, difficult to see, but it's the new asparagus plants that I planted. Without checking, I can't remember the variety, but it came in from Quebec, and I forget it anyway. It's a hybrid variety. What surprised me is when it first comes up, it isn't green like the one plant that I have of Martha Washington, or Mary Washington, I guess it is. Comes up, it's green. The tops of these are purple when they come through the ground. They eventually turn a dark green. And all 8 plants are sending up a few little shoots, so at least they're alive, but it'll be at least 3 years before I get anything off them, so you just leave them alone for the first 3 years, I guess. This is growing in my compost pile. It's a red flowering horse chestnut. I have quite a large horse chestnut tree that I planted it, must be maybe 10 years ago. And this year it's going to be loaded. It's not in bloom yet, but it has those blossom candles all over it. I had 7 or 8 chestnuts last fall, so I put them in the compost. So far I only see one, but at least that's one started. So before I use the compost, I'll dig it out and pot it and grow it on in a pot. And overwinter it, heal it in the garden, overwinter it, and next year I'll give it to somebody. That's just a little look at the horse chestnut tree that I'm talking about. No flowers yet, but it has lots of blossom buds on it. A few more days like this, lovely sunny warm weather, and they'll start to bloom. There's another bed full. It has the row of onions, 2 rows of asparagus, and I just put in a row of beans. I haven't got the envelope with me to remember the exact brand, but they are from Vessi's, and they are for shelling beans, drying for baking or whatever. Being a vegetarian, I eat an awful lot of beans, so I thought I'd like to dry my own this year, at least as many as I can get done. The next project in this area of the garden, not today, but be to clean the weeds out of this patch, and that will be put full of cucumbers, pickling cucumbers, and I've got a number of lemon cucumbers growing, which I'll probably also pickle. And lest we forget, the Three Sisters permaculture bed, which is really growing up in various kinds of weeds and grass and whatever, which is alright, it's the way I'm going to leave it. I'm going to put mounds to do my Three Sisters planting in. Corn's quite nice in the greenhouse. The squash are starting to get their second leaves now, so sometime hopefully before the end of the week I'll transplant them out into the mounds in this garden and get started on my Three Sisters project. I doubt if you can read that. It's kind of a small dial on it, but it's an instant read thermometer. And this is the area inside of the rabbit fencing where I put a row of beans just an hour or so ago. I planted them. I was curious about the soil temperature because the soil temperature should be above 70 degrees for beans to germinate. And at this point it's just mark on at 70. So with the rest of the sunny afternoon, and tomorrow is supposed to be another sunny day, it should get into the optimum temperature range for germinating of the bean seeds. Another bed finished. That's the one that's got the 2 squares of flowers and 2 squares of white icicle radish in the front. And then I've just planted a row of mixed things. In this square here there's two kinds of kale, Scottish blue kale and the Italian Toscano. I love kale. And next to it is Florence Fennel. I like the bulb. You can eat the ferny foliage too, but I like the bulb either braised or crispy in a salad. Very nice with that little light licorice flavor that it has. And next to that are 2 Italian parsley plants, and then there are 5 lettuce plants in that last cell. 3 different varieties, black-seeded Simpson, and 2 French varieties, Gachondolo and Merveille de Quatre Saisons. They are looking kind of flat right now. Combination of 2 things. It's hot and sunny, which is wilting them a bit, but I also just knocked them down with a heavy watering to water them in. It'll be cool here. They'll come back up overnight. Behind that is a row of sugar snap peas, the edible pod peas, and then there's the row of beans that I just planted. Probably can't read it as I said before, but the soil temperature is now up to 82 degrees in a couple of hours after I put the instant read thermometer into the soil, so that's excellent for the beans. They should germinate in no time and be up. I finished planting a couple of hours ago, but I waited until the sun went down behind the high trees at the western end of the garden so there'd be a little better light to finish my filming today. This bed is full of brassicas, and that's about as close a description as I can get, I guess, because I mixed up the tags and I'm really not certain. Some of the squares could have broccoli and some could have cabbages. I don't know which are which. I don't think there are any Brussels sprouts in this bed. I think they put those all over in the other bed, but it doesn't really matter. Once they grow a little more, I'll know what they are. Growing more of them than I did last year. They were really good, but I didn't have enough of them, so I decided this year I would put a lot more in. I made sauerkraut with the cabbage last year, and it was wonderful, so I hope to have more cabbages this year. Over on the far end there, I've put in 1 square of Swiss chard, 1 of the spinach seedlings, Jihadicadians, and another square of my mixture of lettuce plants. And then the rest of this bed has more brassicas, and you'll probably see ferny little things in with them. That's a companion planting of dill. Dill is supposed to keep some of the insects away from your plants, and I'm wondering if it might keep away the cabbage moth. Probably not, but it's worth a try, and I need the dill anyway. I want to make fermented dill pickles again. I'm going to be planting a lot of cucumbers probably tomorrow, so I started the dill from seed. I'll plant some. I started the dill in the house. I'm going to plant some from seed, so I'll need a lot as it goes on. Anyway, that finishes this little video. Thank you for staying with me. If you're interested, subscribe and leave comments if you have any questions or if you've got any suggestions that might help on some of the things that I'm doing here. Thank you.